Morning traders, and this is your Dow Jones day trade setup for today. So just going to start off on the weekly chart here, and this weekly trend line is still intact, very volatile at the moment. We're going to need to break below this 25,736 area for this weekly uptrend to change. Okay, there's a lot going on at the moment. You can see it's kind of little head and shoulders here. Not really diversions, but we've got like a triple top at the moment. And the other thing is that we are kind of in the middle of nowhere right now. Trend is still up. And then if you look at the Williams percentage R, we sort of hovering in the middle of nowhere yet. So there's no buying or selling opportunity on the weekly right now. We have got these three trend lines in, or three support and resistance lines in here. That's pretty much where there's a lot of action in this area. Okay, which is why we are so volatile at the moment. So if you look at the daily, we had the pin bar, we had the buy step in, we had this pin bar, and I said to you if we broke below that, you're looking for a move to the downside. We got the move to the downside, closed the gap. This is the Brooks gap here. Came all the way down to try and test the 200 EMA. And even, you try and ascertain what it turned on, there's nothing really here. Would have been on the lower time frames, and you see that now. So you can see on the lower time frames, this breakout test here was the area we came back to test. Okay, so whenever you see this kind of structure here, it's always an area of interest. Okay, now if we look at the awesome oscillator at the moment, we're kind of petering out. So in other words, it's not much momentum, kind of starting to do this kind of thing here. Okay, not on that scale, but it's definitely not much strong momentum at the moment. So basically what that means is we're coming to some form of consolidation. You see that's consolidation, and this is looking like consolidation as well. We are also back at, I just put this in. So we're also back at the 50% testing the 61.8. I'd almost say the 61.8 here is another area that I'd be looking for another long. Okay, if we break below this fractal here, then for me it's a wait and see until we get to the trend line at the bottom and then take another stab at it off there. For now, we are trending to the downside on the 3 hour, and on the hour we also are pretty clearly in a downtrend at the moment. Okay, so we did get a decent bounce off here, which managed to trade it but got stopped out as we retested that area here. To get into this trade yesterday, as we started the day off yesterday, the trend was very much to the upside still, and what you're looking for is a break of fractals. This is a fractal here, which would indicate a break to the downside, and you're looking for a fractal at that stage. These were the two fractals here. Okay, we got this break and then it accelerated down. And you can see at every tail, so if I look to the left, if I use this line here, out there, you can see buyers stepped in off there. Okay, then they got stopped out. Then we move to the next one, buyers stepped in, okay, rallied a bit, then came all the way back down. Okay, and if you look at the Brooks gap here as well, you can see buyer stepped in, and then there's another fractal to the left here, and the buyer stepped in. The color buyer stepped in twice here. Okay, just to show you that these fractals to the left or inside tails are very critical. Those are areas where you take profit. Okay, and then you can either watch on the lower time frames to see if you're going to break that level again, then you can get back into the trade, or alternatively, you're looking for areas to change direction, which is going to be on those levels. Okay, so this stage we have a double bottom. We've got sort of a double pin bar at a level, and then we have an inside bar with a bit of a tail, a little bit of a pin bar here, and we've got confirmation. We do have a double bottom, but that trend line there is going to need to break before that double bottom comes into play. Okay, so you can see if we come to the half hour, you can see, again, I've just drawn on my fractal levels on my inside tails, and you can see how the break of this area here triggered a short, bit of a retest down. We accelerated through that pretty quickly, but then look at how we tested these levels to the upside. Look at this range bar here. Okay. So, lastly, just on price action, this was the downward trend yesterday, and you're looking for a break of it. We got the break of it, came all the way up, tested the previous breakouts, although it was a little bit messy. You can see here it was very volatile here till we got there. Would have been a good short entry, but I don't like going in on a trade just before the close like that. Anyway, so at this stage, what do we have? Just want to exert this down. So this trend broke up, and you can almost argue that it's come back to test this trend line break, but in the process has formed a new trend line. Look at the awesome oscillator here. So we've got a double bottom ever so slightly lower than this side, and we have diversions here. Okay, not so much on the Williams percentage R, but we do have diversions here, and this lower high here is definitely an indication for a turn. But what could also happen is we could hit this trend line, come back down, and form another lower one, and then turn. Okay, so the two fractal levels are already drawn in. Fractal level to the upside is 26431. Fractal level to the downside is 26139. So a break either side is the direction we're looking for. If we do get a break to the upside, that validates this double bottom, and then what you have is a measured move back to 26725. Okay, so the other thing that you can see that could be forming here is a flat bottom triangle. So not really well established just yet, but it is kind of forming here. So in other words, a bit of a rally and then another move to the downside. Now looking at the daily, that's very possible. Okay, so it's very possible that we get another move like this, which is our second move. My concern with that at the moment is it does break this trend line, the weekly trend line, and that would trigger a lot of downward momentum. Okay, so for me at this stage, I'm going to go with the logical components at the moment, and that is really fractal breaks. Okay, as soon as we form another fractal here, so you can see we're busy forming one right now. You probably see this on the 12-minute. Yeah, so there's a fractal, there's a fractal. So what I could do is be looking something like that. Okay, this is a valid short signal, that is a valid long signal. But as you can see currently, we are in a bit of an upward channel. So I'd prefer to see this, it is coming off a level at the moment, but I'd really prefer to see this higher up. And I think the logical one is somewhere around there. So 26,300 is potential for a turn back down to the downside. But you just got to bear in mind that this 26,140 is going to be a pretty tough nut to crack. It is a 200 EMA as well. So there are going to be buyers stepping in there because a break below that starts triggering a lot of bearish action as well. Okay, so that's kind of my view this morning, is if you're trading, whatever time frame you're trading, trade the fractal breaks. So on the higher time frames, you've got these two fractals here. Lower time frames, you've got these two fractals here. But at this time of the morning, I'd wait for European Open still to see what transpires, because you probably find a bit of a break and then sideways, and then a pop up, and then a move to the downside. So I'd rather wait for European Open. And as soon as the European Open is up, then you can have a look at what could possibly transpire. But yeah, it's very volatile at the moment. You can see how we're breaking above the trend line, down, back up above. And that's also an indication of a turn. Okay. So whenever you start getting volatile like this, it does indicate a potential turn. And looking at the half hour, it's very possible. The hour, we're only just starting to turn, but we were turning here as well. So there's nothing really concrete at the moment, but there is some structure that's forming. And it could be just a bigger channel that's forming, and we're going to go test the top of the channel and move to the downside. Or if we break through that retest, then the next target is to break this double bottom, and then the next target is to get the measured move to the upside. To the downside, I'm very cautious until this trend line breaks. Okay, so until this trend line breaks to the downside, which means the low of last week needs to give way, I'm very, very cautious of any shorts at the moment. So shorts need to be higher up, not down here. Okay, there we go. That's it for me today. Hope it helps, and I will catch you later. Cheers for now.